All right, perfect. Yeah. So for sure, Ron, thanks for having me. Justin Windsor, I lead all of our channel business here at Splashtop. Happy to present here. A little bit in mourning, in full candor. If you haven't heard, Queen Elizabeth passed away. So as a Windsor, it is a little bit upsetting, but we will carry on. So again, about 15 minutes here to talk a little bit about Splashtop. Definitely not a household name like Amazon, but I think as we dig into here and to echo Ron's sentiment about how we can support their remote workforce to do their jobs on a global scale, hopefully the next 15 minutes are of value. But a little bit about Splashtop, I do think, good table stakes to understand a little bit of our background. We are headquartered in Cupertino, California. We're literally right down the street from Apple. We are used by 85% of Fortune 500 companies in our space in the market. We have the highest NPS score, Net Promoter Score. Our customers giving us a 93% overall score. And as of 2021, we've already been evaluated as a billion-dollar company, earning the proverbial unicorn status. You might be asking, who uses Splashtop? And again, to Ron's point, it is a laundry list of worldwide global companies that are existing Splashtop customers. We also have very good integrations with people such as Datto and Ninja. We just announced a partnership with Acronis earlier this quarter. We also integrate in the ITSM space with people like ServiceNow and Freshworks, really to accelerate the response time when users on a global scale are having issues and filing tickets. It gives them the ability at Freshworks or ServiceNow to actually service those requests straight from the ticketing system and not needing a secondary dashboard. And then to Ron's point, where we talk about remote workforce and securing endpoints, I also want us to be cognizant of, for us at Splashtop, when we say endpoints, we're just not limiting ourselves to a PC, Mac, iPhone environment. It really is these ruggedized and IoT devices out in the market today. Real quick, I just think it's good to kind of paint the picture, set the scene here from a Splashtop perspective. Again, if we go back a couple of years ago, in 2019, the average workforce had about 20% of its workers allowed to work from home, right? So C-level people, help desk, maybe sales. We're at a point now, ladies and gentlemen, that if you don't have a job that you can at least have a hybrid work strategy, you're going to find a job that can. And this put in a huge burden on those IT help desk teams, those field services managers to manage all of these disparate devices, which we'll talk about here in a minute, but also many of these devices that A, aren't company issued, and B, devices that they're never, ever actually going to touch. So how can you ensure those endpoints are secure to allow his or her to actually do their job function? I think everyone has a slide around ransomware, as do we. It's not going away. And a traditional VPN, I would also contend, is not made to handle the environment here in 2022. And also, VPN is one of the top vectors of ransomware attacks in the marketplace today. Transitioning now, let's talk a little bit about remote access and why that's important in the world we live in today. So at Splashtop, we are completely agnostic of device. We can remotely control and access anything, whether that is a PC, a Mac, an Android, a Chromebook, iPhone, iPad, and we can connect A to B. Why this is important is if you have a worker, in this case, a student, there is a digital equity gap where he or she may be working from a Chromebook or an older PC. There's performance challenges, and they can't access all of those files. I should say they can't maybe afford all of those programs and stuff to have files on said device. We provide that connection, that bridge, that even from a Chromebook, from that device, you can access the Mac and also anything that's on that Mac. So Adobe software, CAD software, heavy financial software, healthcare information, etc. Again, really bridging that gap to provide that hybrid work experience out in market today. Secondly, again, all of these devices are now out in the field. So we provide at Splashtop either an on-demand support. So this is a 9-digit code that the user provides to the IT technician to fix a software issue. Then after that, the session is then blown away. Secondly, we have unattended access. So this would be a situation where each device, which we're going to get more into devices here in a minute, downloads our streamer, which is our agent. And now we have a secure connection again, on a global scale. So again, the example I always like to share, you could have an outage on your Mac in, Boston, Massachusetts. The guy or girl could be on a beach in Mexico on their iPhone, and they can remote in. And also from the unattended support perspective, it also provides a much more proactive thing. So we can monitor, are their firmwares up to date? Have they done all their patches? Have they done all their upgrades? What malware could be on the computer? So a lot we can do really to support these endpoints as they're out in the market today. I attended an event last week of January here in 2022, and I had this realization that, let me get this straight. If Splashtop is truly a Ron, can you hear me okay?
Now I can. I just missed you for a second or two.
Oh, that's weird. Okay. And I had this realization when I was coming back from this event in Florida. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I had this realization that as long as it has an operating system and as long as it has a device, we can support it. So when we talk endpoints and workplace productivity, let's not limit those conversations, ladies and gentlemen, to just the PC, the Macs, the iPhones. So then I asked the founders of our company, our VP of product marketing, I said, how many devices are actually connected to the internet? And that answer is 29 billion devices are connected to the internet. And it's just not a PC, Mac, and iPhone. It is your refrigerator, it is a Tesla, so on and so forth. And the one thing I think we all can agree on in this era of social media, instant gratification, et cetera, we can't have downtime. That is not acceptable. So then I went back and said, who are some of the customers that are using Splashtop, not necessarily from an end user experience perspective, but in these different arenas, different verticals. And I look at some of our global enterprises, and we'll get into some more customers here in a minute, but we have a customer, such as Yamaha, that is using us, but in an on-prem fashion. But kind of going back to how we're helping, the modern world of today here in 2022. If you look at CVS, IKEA, The Children's Place, Best Buy, and every single point of sale machine at Disney World, they run Splashtop to support that POS environment. Again, if that goes down, it is a huge burden cost to their business. Secondly, you look at FedEx, you look at UPS. If those drivers are not efficient enough because their endpoint, which is a tablet inside that truck, or like when we go out to eat now and the waiter or waitress takes your order from a Toast or a Touch Bistro or whatever that device is, if that endpoint goes down, that's a problem. So Splashtop provides a secure connection, a secure ability to access as well as provide the support, not only in that end user space, but also in all these other different arenas that I think is a burgeoning opportunity to really help customers. Case in point, I was went to a Topgolf event, as many of us do, right, in Nashville, Tennessee, and I walked outside, and this is the mid part of June, and I see a police car, I see a billboard on the highway, I see a gas station, I see a bank, and I see a hotel. And selfishly, as a Splashtop employee, I say every single one of those people needs Splashtop, because the police officer has endpoints inside his car that cannot go down. If that endpoint gets hacked on the highway, that's a problem. If the endpoint, which is the point of sale machine at the gas station, goes down, that's a problem. If the kiosk at the hotel goes down, which is an endpoint, goes down, that's a problem. And if the next device, which we would again classify as Splashtop as an endpoint, which is that ATM, again, it's a touchscreen and has an operating system, that's an issue. So again, we're really truly trying to minimize downtime, not only for workers who are having latency issues with bandwidth and VPNs and all these different things, with support to remotely manage all of these devices and user-wise that they're never physically touching, but also to maximize the IT resources that they currently have. This is a new addition.
Yeah, Ryan. The key point that everyone needs to understand is Justin's looking at this appropriately from an uptime, reliability, financial standpoint. Having point of sale machines work, obviously important. From a data standpoint, though, I don't think Justin may not have emphasized that enough. These are also devices that capture that data. If you look at all the other presenters, the one aspect that they are not touching on is the initial point of data ingestion, capturing the data at the very start of the process. And that's why I wanted to have Justin present here at Splashtop, because to really take full advantage of the AWS Microsoft Fivetran solutions, eliminating data silos, using AI, putting in place software solutions, low code, no code, to help people analyze data, you need to make sure that data is captured reliably, securely, without ransomware. And that's the value of Splashtop.
Yep. No, excellent. Yeah, great points, right? Great additions there for sure. So the next thing I do want to chat about here is Splashtop AR, which stands for Splashtop Augmented Reality. I think if I polled many in the audience today and I said, what is remote support? Again, maybe my endpoint's down. We have that to Ron's point. We've ingested that data from the edge to wherever, again, whatever other device, wherever that may be, again, on a global scale. But I think if we define remote support, our belief is, okay, my issue is I have a PC or Mac down. I can't access maybe the data I've collected or data I need to collect from a disparate device. So I call the IT help desk and they remote in and they fix my device. That's what we think support is remotely. What we would argue, contend, introduce is Splashtop augmented reality. What if you could fix hardware issues visually from a different location? So now with Splashtop augmented reality, we have the ability leveraging the camera from the Android phone, the iPhone, the PC, the Mac, the iPad, whatever, to go on site and see a customer issue in real time. I'll give you a perfect real world example. A couple weeks ago, again, I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and my son and I, Liam, went out to California for a week. As soon as we get to RDU, I see a worker van and I see a gentleman trying to fix the machine, right, where you can pay for your parking before you go back to your car. And I said to my son, I was like, Liam, this guy could be home right now. He's like, Dad, what do you mean? I was like, all they had to do was send someone down, right, from the airport, level one down level two down to level one, pull up the video live, real time, and say, okay, this is what the problem is. Okay, can you pull this cord, do this blue, push this blue switch, all these different things. But the other really cool thing to kind of go along that is we have annotation capability, so we can draw on the screen both users in different colors. So now we can mitigate a lot of that downtime, echoing the earlier comment, for these different environments out there. So you look at workplace productivity, right? It is not maybe, again, a data collection issue, but if you're someone who works in a warehouse or someone in manufacturing, that machine going down is going to cause a multitude of problems. So Splashtop augmented reality, I know we don't have a lot of time here, but it's a very cool addition to the Splashtop portfolio, which I'm not going to dig down too much in here. But again, the ability to have camera sharing in real time versus, okay, I'm going to take a picture, maybe it's aged, maybe it's something changed, is really to ensure that our customers are having a maximum uptime with Splashtop. Another area that we're really big in, and Ron, this goes back to when you're talking data collection, ensuring those endpoints, et cetera, is we're also very big in media entertainment. I am not super technical, but we can do 4K streaming and 60 frames per second. So why that is important is if you're an organization like healthcare doing telehealth, if you're doing high graphic video rendering, these kinds of things, and you're transporting something from point A to point B, perhaps a traditional VPN does have bandwidth challenges. If you look at this quote from Carl from Adobe, and Adobe actually uses us for internal purposes, it really speaks that performance is a key metric when choosing some sort of remote solution. The other anecdotal comment, because of our relationship with Disney, a lot of the animated films that have come out since the post-pandemic, from Lucasfilms, Marvel Films, Disney, those voiceovers were actually done by Splashtop in a remote setting. So if we're asking ourselves, what are 5 factors when choosing this remote access support solution for data collection, transporting data, and ensuring that security is really important? I'm going to close with these 5 factors here at Splashtop. One, again, I don't think I have to spend a lot of time on it. Ransomware continues to increase, so the security of these devices is paramount. Again, we have SOC 2 compliance, HIPAA compliance, everything that you can imagine. Everything that we do in flight and at rest is AES-256 encrypted. So we're very, very big on security. And I'm not one to bash a lot of our competitors in the market, but a lot of them have been used to infiltrate and used inside data breaches, right? And we have not been. Secondly, again, when we say endpoints, it's anything, right? It's a window, it's a Mac, it's a Chromebook, because a lot of these point of sale machines that I've spoke to, the tablet in the Tesla, the tablet in the police officer, 80% of them on the back end are just an Android operating system anyway. So again, we can remotely support those endpoints from, again, any other device, any other OS on a global scale. Thirdly, and I attend tons of events, as Ron knows, I'm always somewhere. And tons of times I'm out and about and I see, we set up our booth, and again, not being this household name, and people go, Splashtop, love you guys, which really goes back to the NPS score. But we have a simple, easy to manage platform for everything. So now just think about it, that you're the CIO, CTO, help desk admin, if you will, of a very large Fortune 500 customer. Again, we have 85% of that market. And you have one screen now for all your PCs, all your Macs, all your Android phones, all your iPhones, all your point of sale machines, all your kiosks. Again, whatever that endpoint is, it is irrelevant to Splashtop, but we, again, can provide that secure connection, secure support to any of those. For, again, I kind of talked it before, if we live in a world of remote setting, I think we all can agree a byproduct of the pandemic is this new hybrid workforce world. We're never going back Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So having a tool in place to ensure that our customers, our employees are accessing and collecting this data from disparate devices, global scale, that they have the performance and reliability that they need and henceforth they require versus, performance is really slow. We're going to have to start bringing people back to the office. Because as much as crazy as March of 2020 was, I think a lot of us have kind of got to figure it out. And this work from anywhere is kind of what they like. So we provide a very consistent performance metric. The other thing that I mentioned, not on this slide, is we also have performance parity, right? So let's just say you have to access, right, a Mac and you have an older, PC, Chromebook, what have you. But since you're accessing that Mac, you're now getting the performance and reliability of that second device. And last but not least, again, we can have a great product, we can have great customers, but if we don't have great customer support, well, it doesn't really matter, right? So again, we have very sound customer support, US based, again, in Cupertino, California. Anything that you're interested in, with a variety of portfolio products from Splashtop SOS, Splashtop Enterprise, Splashtop Augmented Reality, tons of really good solutions as well for the education space, like Splashtop Remote Labs, Splashtop Mirroring 360. Again, you can freely demo all of those without any sort of credit card purchase. And again, I think Splashtop's pretty good. Ron, I could probably sit here for the next hour and a half talking Splashtop. I really believe in this company. I really believe I take a look at the market and say, remote support for the remote desktop area is a $7.8 billion market. And that's amazingly wonderful. But if we really think holistically of all these different devices out in the market today, according to Gartner, remote support for IoT devices, much as we talk about digital transformation and all these things, that market right now is a $348 billion market. And I think a lot of organizations over the next 6 to 12 months are going to be tasked to ensuring that all of their endpoints, this is going to include the point of sale machines, the ATMs, the machines that go around hospitals, are secure. Because if they're not secure, it's going to impact business performance. It just is. So now I need a holistic tool to manage all of these different devices in this new world that we live in. And this is why I think Splashtop is an ideal solution for those use cases.